Thank you for joining us on Wave 3 Listens Live. The show is jam-packed today, so let's get right to it. We're going to have Dr. Larry Stroud, my friend. If you do not love your smile, then you'll be listening to Dr. Stroud. He can change that when it comes to self-esteem and confidence. I think your smile definitely plays a role there. Also on today, I love this segment of the show. It is Dr. Karam, who is a licensed marriage and family therapist. In fact, he is the president of the Kentucky Association of Marriage and Family Therapists. Dr. Karam, welcome back to the show.
Hey, John, good to see you, buddy.
All right, now today we're going to talk about something that's probably coming up for quite a few of you. We have proms, graduations, weddings. They all happen during the spring.
Yep.
And perhaps there's folks out there like myself who, when they get together with extended family members, there may be a little bit of anxiety. Maybe there's some issues, sensitive subjects, things you want to avoid, and you're going to help folks with that. If you'd like to call us, if you have one of those events coming up and you'd like a little advice from a professional, call us, 571-5263. Okay, for those who are looking for a family or marriage and family therapist, how should they go about that, Dr. Karam?
Yeah, very easy question, and we can help you out. You want to go to www.kamft.org, and that's the Kentucky Association for Marriage and Family Therapy. So we represent over almost 400 marriage and family therapists in the state, many of them centrally located in Wave Country, and you can kind of search. You can see everything that's going on with the Kentucky Association of Marriage and Family Therapy, and you can go to www.therapistlocator.net, John, and there you're going to be able to enter where it says locate a therapist in that rectangular box. You're going to be able to find a therapist. You enter by your zip code, enter by the last name if you've heard a referral from a friend or you've heard somebody around town that is good. You can find their profile there, and many therapists, in addition to their profile, will have a direct link to their website. So when finding a therapist, best way to do is call. Interview them. Any marriage and family therapist would be able to give you 5-10 minutes on the phone so you can figure out a little bit about how they work, how they view people in all of their interpersonal contexts, seeing strength and health instead of deficit or pathology. And remember, marriage and family therapists are going to see you at all points in the life cycle, whether you are just starting a relationship, whether you're like me, a family with young children, or you're getting ready to launch your children as we head into this kind of graduation season. People thinking about that. So you need to be able to feel like it's okay, John, to see when you get stuck at one of these predictable kind of blocks in the life cycle.
Yeah, you know, we've talked before about blended families, and I would assume that a lot of these family gatherings will involve blended families.
Yeah.
Perhaps you've been divorced, and maybe your son or your daughter's getting ready for graduation, and you're going to run into the ex. Maybe you're going to run into some family members that you haven't seen in quite some time. Hey, hopefully everything's smooth, but that's usually not the case. It's okay. You can call us at 571-5263. What kind of issues do you see often?
Yes.
Frequently? I'm just curious.
Yeah, well, people can see marriage and family therapists for a host of issues, but usually they revolve some type of relationship issue. So either you're starting a relationship and you're unsure because you've gotten burned in maybe previous relationships, so you could come to see a marriage and family therapist alone. It's a kind of a misnomer that marriage and family therapists see, you know, over 50% of their clients are individuals. It's just a relational way of working. So you might have issues around parenting, co-parenting, especially, John, in one of those situations you were talking about, as we've talked about on the show in the past, where it's a blended family. You might have issues ending a relationship. Say you know a relationship is not healthy for you, but you've spent a lot of time with this person, you're kind of unhealthily attached, so you need a marriage and family therapist to help you kind of get unstuck and detach. So marriage and family therapists will see as many divorcing or divorced families as they will intact families. So sometimes the idea is, again, to get the prevention is the best form, so you don't have to wait till you're a problem. You can come to see a marriage and family therapist when you have one of these anticipatory events coming up, like I think we have an email today, like an event around a family gathering, as you were saying.
Yeah, well, let's talk about this email. In fact, we'll throw it up on the screen. Dr. Eli, I am dreading attending my nephew's first communion next week, as I have to spend the entire day with my husband's family, especially his very judgmental sister-in-law. I really try to be a tolerant person, but dealing with difficult family members is a real struggle for me. I sometimes have a hard time getting my husband to understand me when it comes to being with his extended family. Do you have any tips? Tamara, this is very common because it's tough. I see both sides of this story. You know, the ex, you know, of course he loves his family, he loves her. This is a tough call.
Yeah, I mean, in this email, thank you, viewer, for sending that in. you know, it is a situation in the sense that when you are around your in-laws, especially if you don't feel comfortable around them or judged, it can create, you know, a ripple effect through your whole family, especially your primary relationship, sounds like with your husband there. So a couple of tips what you'd want to do. You'd want to talk to your husband in advance, and without, as we've said on the show before, without making blaming statements. Your family always does this, they make me feel that way. You don't want to do that. You want to explain kind of the uncomfortableness you feel without blaming, in the sense you might say something like, hey, we're going to be around your sister, and you know, sometimes it's difficult for me to be myself and be calm. So I'm wondering if we could talk about in advance some boundaries or kind of a plan of attack for that day. So what I mean by plan of attack is it could be that she talks to her husband about how long they're going to stay at the event. This seems like a communion and a party, so it's only a couple hours. And what I tell people is you can do anything for a couple hours. In the sense of this would be different if people were coming to your home or something like this. So you're coming for a couple hours. Set up a boundary with your spouse about what you will say about your family as far as your relationship and what you won't. Also have kind of some tools around if you are uncomfortable, how to kind of get away. So some couples have a code word or they excuse themselves and they kind of touch base with their partner. So that's very important as well. And remember why you're there. It sounds like in your email you're there for your nephew. So it's not about you, it's not about your sister-in-law, it is about your nephew. So most people, if they look at the greater cause, especially if it revolves around children who generally we think are innocent, and you know, even if we have problems with their parents, we can still see the kind of humanity and the pureness in the kids. That's another way to kind of keep you safe. And at the end, schedule some debrief time with your spouse. You never want to make your spouse feel like they have to choose between the family that they grew up in, what we call a family of origin, and the family that you all have made, your family of procreation. So it's a bad spot for any spouse to be in between, to pick between the, you know, two women they probably love, their sister and their wife. So don't make him pick, kind of honor his feelings as well.
Dr. Karam, when you have issues like this, like the one Tamara is writing to you about, do you recommend that you see both family members who are involved, or do you see one at a time, or how do you like to operate? It
could work either way. Marriage and family therapists, remember, if it's a relational issue, they are going to want to see all members in that system, even if it's a one-time meeting, in the sense that they get a feel for who those people are and how they interact. That being said, many individuals come to see marriage and family therapists and talk about their significant relationships. So this could work either way. But talking to someone, again, as we're saying, it doesn't have to be a stigma. Some people think, well, I have to have a diagnosis or mental issues to see a marriage and family therapist. We know that's not true, John. In fact, you know, marriage and family therapists deal with the working well. People that have, you know, interpersonal constraints. In therapy, we think is also very long and drawn out. That's not the case. In fact, it should be pretty efficient and time limited. You can have as many meetings as you want with a marriage and family therapist, and you could also have very brief treatment, a couple of meetings, kind of to get you unstuck and back on track.
Dr. Karam, you said something at the beginning of the show. When I think about a marriage therapist, I'm always thinking about someone who's trying to help you stay together. You said at times maybe you both agree this is not something we should do. It's not healthy for either one of us, and you help them separate.
Yes.
How does that work?
Yeah. So this idea that, you know, especially if you have children, we have spent so many years together, we have children, but this relationship is not good for us anymore. And I care about this person. I might not be in love with them anymore, but I still care about them, and I want to preserve the integrity to be a co-parent. So if both people reach that resolution at the same point, if they get to there, that is better. And then they can come and say, we want help on kind of divorcing and moving towards co-parenting.
All right. I want you to check out a couple of sites for us real quickly. KAMFT.org. That's Kentucky Association Marriage Family Therapist. KAMFT.org. Or if you're looking for a therapist and you want to take a look-see, maybe interview one of these therapists, you can find them at therapistlocator.net.
Yeah, and that's going to give you all the LMFTs, licensed marriage and family therapist in Kentucky and in the country. But you just put in your zip code and that will pop up a bunch of therapists in your area.
You're very good at what you do, Doctor.
I appreciate it.
Really love having you on. Right. Once again, Dr. Eli Karam. Coming up, do you love your smile? Do you feel confident? Well, we're going to make you feel confident because you are going to love your new pearly whites. Dr. Larry Stroud is with us. We'll be right back on Wave 3 Listens.